truth live from where they decree it. Sylvia speaks, no filter, no buffer. Courtroom drama couldn't get any tougher.
When the gavel's first bang, to the witness turns tears. Sylvia's lens captures all your hopes and fears. Uploading justice one trial at a time. Tuning every moment, edges sublime.
Welcome to the Sylvia show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Faces tell stories, the courtroom can't hide. Sylvia's insights cut through the divide. From jury talks to the lawyer's secret. In Sylvia's world, you know you'll need it. Behind the scenes where whispers are loud, her lens reveals the truth in the crowd. Courtroom secrets laid bare to see. Stay curious with Sylvia's brief. Every objection, every sharp retort, Sylvia's there to give you the report. Exclusive footage no one else can snag. From catchy headlines straight to the tag. Welcome to the Sylvia show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow.
Sylvia in that courtroom grind. All day long she's making time. Notes in hand, she's got the plan. Comes home late, shines like a star. Yeah, she's here to break it down. Justice found without a frown. In our chat with hearts so true, Sylvia's magic comes right through. Feel it, baby, feel the light. Soulful notes on the inside. Sylvia's truth makes us sway. All night long we groove and play. She's the queen with a golden touch. In her words we trust so much. Courtroom battles fade away. She brings the light in the day. Slide it slyly, can't deny. Sylvia knows just how to fly. All I want, she melts away. Bringing soul to every day. Feel it, baby, feel the light. Soulful notes on the inside. Sylvia's truth makes us sway. All night long we groove and play.
Hey, hey guys, hello. I don't know why this sun is like all up in my eyes. I hope you guys are able to hear me. Can you guys hear me clearly? All right. I wanted to wait for some folks to come in. I want some folks to come in. Numbers needs to be higher than this because I have something important to share. Because first, I want to say congratulations to Mr. Steele. Congratulations to Mr. McDuffie. This has been a long, long, long 3 years, and I understand his life was turned upside down, and God allowed him to prevail. And I just pray that healing begins between him and his son because their relationship has been damaged severely. Their relationship has been damaged severely because individuals decide to come together and lie. They came together to lie. And to God be the glory that it did not work out the way that others thought. Hold on a second. Somebody's calling me. Hold on. Sorry about that. I was saying to God be the glory that it did not turn out to like a lot of different people lives has turned out. Thank God he had the finances to fight a good fight and had the attorneys that really knew how to fight the fight. Um, as you guys remember, I was saying how when I first heard about this case and I heard that Mr. Steele was doing it, right? And I was like, what would possess Mr. Steele to and I told him this today. I told him this because when I after the trial was over with, I went over to him to talk to him and I said to him, I said, Mr. Steele, when I first read about this case and I was trying to figure out why would you choose a case like this. This case is such a case. It's a horrible case because these are children. I mean, 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, right? And you know, children don't lie, right? They don't lie. I mean, I'm talking about little kids like that. They just be brutally honest and they'll tell you, right? But when a person can manipulate a child and bribe a child into saying certain things, children will lie. They will lie. You said I won't spoil anything. Okay, Valerie said. Okay, see, listen. Okay, look. I said to myself, self. This is for Chad. Chad, this is for you, Chad. I said, self. I'm going to stay focused. So, Valerie, please, let me stay focused, please. Valerie, let me stay focused. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna focus. Okay. I'm not gonna look at nothing that's not a super chat. That's the way I'm gonna do it. If it's not a super chat, I'm not gonna look at it. Okay. I'm not gonna look at it. But anyway. Um as I was saying that you can have individuals who manipulate children, who can coerce children, who can plant seed in children's mind and give reward for behavior that is uncommon. And then you can have them put stuff in the kid's head and they play it over and over and over again, like they did with the videotape. They put a monster in the videotape and the monster was coming after them and trying to touch them and all this kind of stuff, right? So if you're putting that kind of image in a 3-year-old mind and then you start from the age of 1 teaching them about good touch, bad touch, you're already planting some stuff in their head that is not normal, right? Oh, I was telling you, thank you. Thank you. And I was telling Mr. Steele, thank you for reminding me what I was saying. It's Valerie's fault. It's Valerie's fault that I got thrown off. Valerie, I'm gonna blame you. But anyway, I said to Mr. Steele, Mr. Steele, how can you take a case like this that, I was really like just blown how you would take a case where a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, I knew there was something that you saw in this case that made you want to even take a case like that? I said, I always know you as a man of integrity. You're a man of standard. And not just me saying that, but I've seen you in action and how disciplined you are in your daily lives. Because, I was with him for over 2.5 years. So I knew he was the type of person, like if somebody, was trying to give him something for free, he would not take it. He would say, give it to somebody that's less fortunate than I have everything I need. I watched him every day brush his teeth 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. I watch him. He's so disciplined. He drink his water. He doesn't eat bad food. He brings his lunch every single day. He doesn't eat out. I mean, that type of person, whenever they were having their little freebie food and stuff like that, Mr. Steele never touch it. He's that disciplined, right? And he tells me he gets up early in the morning and he works out. He is super, super structured and disciplined. Okay. For him to take a case like this, I was like, oh, this is a bad look for him. That's what I said. This is a bad look. Now, he has another case, like the CP case. I'm like, okay, what's up with him taking all these kind of crazy cases? Right? That's what I said. I said to him. So he said to me, thank you. Thank you. He called me Madam Journalist. He says, thank you. And so we hugged, and then we went our separate ways, right? And Mr. McDuffie said thank you for everything. Even though he didn't want his case to be publicized, he didn't want it to be on the internet and anything like that, but he thanked me for allowing people to hear what's going on in the courtroom, right? So and everybody, I want to give a shout out to the Banks Court, the Banks County Court, the deputies, the officers, the workers. Everybody has been pleasant to me. I didn't even know all of them was watching my channel because I keep seeing my numbers going up, right? And then when I like one of the officers came out, he's like, oh, by the way, he's not 85. I mean, they were all watching. Even inside the clerk office, everybody was watching the channel, and I didn't know, right? So, so shout out to all those people out there. I try to bring the realness with some sort of entertainment in it, but this case is a very serious case. It was very serious. You have lives that have been damaged. You have relationship that probably will never get repaired, right? She said, we heard about you the first day. Valerie, Valerie is starting trouble, y'all. Valerie is in here. Valerie, stop it. Okay. But anyway, of course, the black woman with the purple hair looking crazy, right? I was the only black one inside the whole the vestibule area, right? There was 2 black jurors, but now I can tell you everything. Okay, I can tell you everything now because now I'm not on lockdown. Okay, but anyway, this type of case is one of those cases that is like, how, why, and you want to believe him, but you also know that these are children involved. We were warned about the press. It was just Sylvia. She's starting trouble again. Valerie, you know what? I'm gonna block Valerie in a minute because she's not behaving. But anyway, so there is so much emotions behind this case. This is not a fun case at all because you have little babies. And you have this man who is the grandfather being accused of touching his little babies, right? You want to believe him, but then you have to believe the children, right? I went in with the mindset that this is terrible. This does not look good for Mr. Steele's reputation. Only 2 people in the chat, which was Success and Dom K, they were in the chat when I was making a decision whether or not I want to go because it's supposed to start on Monday, and I was still debating on whether to go because I was not feeling this case. I was not really feeling it because being a mother and understanding that this is hurtful for children. I was like, this is the 3-year-old. A 3-year-old is not going to lie. That's all I kept saying, right? But then I know Mr. Steele, right? And so I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Okay, so then I decided to go. Late in the midnight hour, guys, remember I was trying to get my Rule 22, hoping that the judge will sign off on it, and he didn't sign off on it. And that is one of the reasons why I hated that I did not make that decision sooner than what I did, because if I would have made the decision, we would have been able to see the footage, right? We would have been able to see, well, of course, he would have had me shut it down certain parts, but at least you would have seen the opening argument. You would have seen certain things. You wouldn't see the children faces and stuff like that. That they would not allowed. And also them showing the body part of the little girl, that definitely I would have not shown anyway, right? But yeah, we did it late that night. We did the Rule 22, and I knew I probably was not going to get approved. I knew that. It wasn't like when I went to Athens Clark court case, because it had people with Rule 22 there. I would have been the only one with a Rule 22. And because I was late, the judge even made a comment saying that he's not the type of judge that will not give you a Rule 22. It's just that basically you were late, and he said I could take notes. It was okay for me to take notes, but as far as recording, couldn't do it, right? And then there was somebody who tried to sneak to record the audio that was playing, and he was like, nobody's better not be recording. He did not look at me because I was not going to record, because I know the rules, right? So he gave that warning for a person not to record, and I don't think anybody recorded, but I did see somebody with 2 phones, and they had the phone down. I believe that person was recording, as long as it wasn't me, and I was not going to be a snitch. So, but I do believe that person was recording, and I'm gonna tell you everything that I saw now, because I could tell you now, right? I went in, sat down, and the prosecutor got up, and the prosecutor did his opening argument, right? In his opening argument, he mentioned vague information, right? It wasn't as detailed as I thought they were going to say. He didn't say, oh, we have DNA and we proved that this person DNA was on the child. We took the swab, and I didn't hear none of that stuff, right? I heard vague information like the little girl said, Papa touched my tootie. Can Papa touch my tootie? That type of stuff. That's what I was hearing, right? But I didn't hear anything that would say concrete that, oh, they got so much evidence that they're going to bring it in and they're going to do this, right? I did not hear that, right? When Mr. Steele got up there, and Mr. Steele called the investigator a liar to his face, I said, okay, there must be something here. There must be something, because Mr. Steele's not going to say something if he doesn't have evidence to back up what he's saying. Then when he says that the child's test was normal, I was like, how the hell did we get here? How did this man get to have an indictment when the test shows the child essay examination was normal? And then he says that when she went and did her forensic interview, she didn't mention it to anyone. I was like, whoa, what in the world is going on? That's what I said. Then I came on and started giving you guys information what was going on in the court and stuff like that. And I was like, this is going to be some good stuff. So fast forward today, y'all. All the guys who didn't hear what happened in the past couple of days, you could go ahead and watch it, because I need those watch hours. You can go watch all of that stuff from before. What are we going to talk about is today's win. Today, Mr. Steele showed out. Mr. Steele showed why he's such a high-paid attorney. A high-paid attorney that will fight your case and will turn every rock, will open every door, will look underneath every bed, will take every single sheet off the covering. That man deserves every dime that he gets. Let me tell you why. Today, we got into the courtroom. I got in really early. I sat down in the freezing cold. And when I tell you that place is cold, your head stands up. And you couldn't even wear a hat. So I was wrong for cutting my hair right now when we would get ready to close. I should have kept some hair for until this day passed. But anyway, and I couldn't wear a hat. It was so freaking cold inside that room. When I tell you it was so cold, I was the first one inside the room and I'm like shivering, right? Shivering. And I sat down, right? Past tense. I sat down and people started trickling in. I see the prosecutor comes in. I saw the investigator outside. But hold on. Let me back up going outside. So I sat outside. I see my sister from another mother. She's there parked in the first parking spot. And I'm bragging to the people in the chat saying, hey guys, I'm in my parking spot, right? I'm in my parking spot. We're back again in there again, right? And Dwight was bothering me today, right? Dwight was trying to suck I'm late. I wasn't late, Dwight. But anyway, get in my parking spot, number 2 in the parking spot. And then all of a sudden I look across from my sister from another mother. I see one of the jurors. I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to talk to this juror. I see this juror right there. She's right in front of me. I said, I am not getting out this car while that juror is right there. This is what I'm saying in my head. But then I'm talking to you guys on the live, right? And I see her. So she gets up and closes her door. She goes inside the courtroom. So now it was kind of drizzling outside, right? And my sister from another mother says she'll share the umbrella with me. So she gets out, she comes by the car, and I take you guys down. And so we're going into the building and stuff, right? I go and I sit down, get my little spot all the way to the end because I want to see every single juror's face this time, okay? Because we're in that first courtroom. We're not in our regular courtroom 2. We're in the first one, right? So I get in there. We're on the 3rd row at the end. I'm all the way at the end. So because I want to see every juror's face, because I want to see what they looking like today. Because yesterday I didn't get a chance to see that juror that I told you guys, the one that I told you that was making all these faces, the one I told you that she needs to learn jury class 101, that poker face, the one who don't show poker face, the one who has an attitude and don't look like she doesn't like Mr. Steele. That one. Okay, I gotta tell you what happened with her. I wanted to see her face today because yesterday I could not see her face, right? I wanted to see her demeanor, her rolling her eyes, or putting her hand on her face like this, going like this. And I mean, she was making all those kind of facial expressions like, yeah. And then when the prosecution is up and she's all up like this and she's like, and she's nodding her head, and she, look, this is the same one that was making eye contact with Shelby's family up in the front, y'all. I ain't tell, but this is what I was watching throughout the whole thing, right? And I was like, she knows Shelby and them. She knows them, right? Hold that thought, y'all. Put a pin there. Remember, I was saying in my head, that girl knows them because she's making eye contact with them. Then there was a little slim girl that came there and she looked like them two was friends, right? So I was like, those two know each other. I wonder, this is what I wanted. That's why I went to go look and see what was the juror's voir dire question. And if the question was, do you know anybody in this case, right? I wanted to see that, right? But I didn't go pull it up because they want to charge 50 cents per page. I was like, no, I don't want to see that. So remember, she was doing eye contact, talking to them, I watched her, right? So we're sitting down waiting for the court to start. Everybody trickles in. They get in the front. Shelby's family sitting all up in the front, the first row, right? They take up the first row. They even have blankets on the row so nobody else sits in the row. They don't want nobody sitting up there but them, okay? They take up the whole freaking row, okay? So we're sitting there. I'm waiting. And Colette comes in, and Mr. Walter comes in. Then Sam comes in. He comes in with Mr. Steele, right? No, but a judge already coming. Judge is in before them, right? The judge is sitting down waiting for Mr. Steele to come in. Mr. Steele comes in, y'all. Guess what Mrs. Steele says? Y'all wanna know what Mr. Steele says? Mr. Steele says, Your Honor, it was brought to my attention belief in what is that thing? What is that thing they usually say? Upon belief in something. What's the thing that they say upon belief in? What's the words they use? Upon belief. Whatever, something with the belief word in there, right? He said it was brought to his attention. You could stop it, see? Because the deputy have all their gears and it gets hot. Fire, you're grateful you were there because no other press came to share their who missed out. Okay. Okay, belief in information. Yeah, upon belief in information, right? He says, information and belief. He says, I am being told that this morning, the young lady with the rainbow dress and the young man that sits next to her were in communication with two of the jurors, the mother and the daughter jurors. And you know who that mother and daughter juror? The one juror that I told you I couldn't stand, Mr. Steele. Remember that one? Well, her and her mother are both on the jury. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how they're going to allow that, but the mom and the daughter were both chosen to be on this jury. And those two, there was no way in hell that Mr. McDuffie was going to be found not guilty with those two on there because they was already friends with it. And I'm telling you, because the eye contact that I saw them doing, y'all. And they the one that was in that restaurant I told you was all in my face and I had to turn around and stop talking. Remember I told you that? Yeah. So he said that the juror was talking to the young lady with the rainbow dress and the guy next to them. And guess what? Guess who they are? The girl with the rainbow dress is Shelby's sister. And the guy that's sitting next to her is the husband that was part of arresting Mr. McDuffie. They were so shocked. You should have seen their face when Mr. Steele said that. They looked at each other. They were so shocked. And the judge asked the state, what would you like me to do? And then the state says, well, we can question them and find out what the conversation was about. And so the judge says, okay, we will question them. And he says, what would you want me to do? Do you want them to stay there? And Mr. Steele says, I would prefer the one person stay, give her testimony, and then the other two leave. And the judge says, We'll do that. So the two guys, her husband and her brother, leaves the room, right? They leave. And she's sitting there. Because she raised her hand, because the judge said, I don't know who it is. Who is the person? She raised her hand. She's the one with the rainbow dress. She raised her hands up like that, right? So then he asked her, can you explain what happened outside? Now remember, the sheriff department watched them from the camera in the outside of the court. So they see everything that's out there. You know, they see them talking at the car and all this stuff. They see all that, okay? They can't lie and say they didn't do it because they're on camera. They forgot they were on camera. So it's not anybody squealing on you. It's the camera catching you doing what you're not supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be talking to the juror. That's why when I saw them at that restaurant, you see what I did? I turned around and I'm like, why are these people talking? Why are these people looking at me? Why? And I had to change my topic because I was telling the young lady that I met why I was there, what I was covering, right? So I was like, why is this lady looking in my face? They both looking at me. So I'm gonna turn like this. The mama and the daughter. I'm like this. And I like, nope. You ain't catching me talking to y'all. I'm not even gonna look at y'all. So, okay, because I know the rules. You don't say nothing to no juror. I try not even look at them. Only time I look at them is if I'm in the courtroom, because I'm protected in the courtroom because I'm right there just observing the jurors, okay? But in the outside of the street, I ain't looking at you. Okay, I'm not looking at you. Okay, so back. So the judge started asking her what was said outside, what was the conversation about, right? So then she says that her husband was getting out the back seat of the car. That her husband was getting out the back seat of the car, and the juror saw the husband getting out, and so she says to her, "Oh, you have to ride in the back, huh?" And they all start laughing. They thought it was funny. And then the judge says, "Is there anything else?" And she said, "No, there was nothing else." Okay. So then she leaves. Then her husband comes in. And remember, her husband works for the sheriff department, right? Husband comes in and he asks what occurred. Then he said, "I was getting out the back seat of the car, and one of the jurors said something to me." And then he says, "Is that it?" He says, "Yeah." So he leaves. And now her brother comes in, right? There's three of them. Her brother comes in, but Mr. Steele only had mentioned two, but it was another one came out, right? The brother comes in, and then the brother says that his brother-in-law was getting out the car, and the juror said something to him. So the judge asked, "What did the juror say to him?" He says, "I don't know. I didn't hear what she said, but she said something to him, and we all laugh," or something like that, he said. So the judge brought the other ones back in. They sat down. Then the judge said he was going to talk to the jurors. So when the jurors came in, he says to the jurors, he didn't pick out the jurors and say anything. He just said, basically it was brought to his attention that the juror was talking to people in the spectators. And he says, as a juror, your job is not to talk to anybody about the case, talk to anybody about anything. He says, myself, Mr. Steele, and the prosecutor, if you see us in the hallway and we happen not to say anything, we're not being rude. We just don't want to talk to you about anything because your position is a sacred type of position and you're not supposed to talk to anybody until all of this is over with. That's what he tells them, right? So you already know, because I peeped it in the beginning how doing eye contact, that the daughter, not the mom, because the mom was sitting in the front. I didn't see the mom doing eye contact. I saw the daughter doing eye contact with Shelby's family, right? I saw the daughter, right? Because remember, I told y'all from the beginning, I said, jury class 101, you should have a poker face. I should not be able to know who you dislike or who you like, because you're supposed to have the poker face. You're supposed to be paying attention, and everybody gets equal treatment from you as a juror. So anybody who ever decides to be a juror, make sure you have a poker face. You do not try to express anything during your listening to the trial. Poker face, poker face, poker face, okay? That's for those who want to decide to be a juror, who will take that mantle of being there to deliberate, okay? Don't let me see you making all kinds of movement, because I'm watching you. I'm watching you, right? I'm taking mental notes and I'm writing things down. I may not be able to reveal it before the trial is over, but I can tell after the trial is over everything that you did. I'm going to tell it, okay? So just remember that. Poker face, poker face, poker face. All right, so we get over that. And first witness is get ready to be called. First witness is Investigator Alford. He gets up there. And I'm like, are we going to get through this? Are we going to get through this? Are we going to get through this thing today? Right? I'm like, there's no way. We're going to be here till next week. And then my sister from another mother said, oh, we're going to be here till next month. I said, you're probably right. Because, next month is tomorrow, right? I said, you're probably right. You're probably right. And I said, we're not going to get through this. Because the state already said Mr. Alford is going to those long testimony that they have, right? So I was like, Jesus, we're going to have, it's going to be all day. But remember that yesterday, they were going to try to keep Mr. Steele's character witness off the stand because they didn't want that to be brought in, right? Here's how Mr. Steele combated that. Mr. Steele said that Mr. McDuffie was going to testify. So when the suspect or the defendant testify, character witnesses can come in because now they can question the defendant. So that's how he avoided the character witnesses not be allowed to testify. So now they could come in and bring testimony of the person's character. And Mr. Steele brought in case law about that. It was Gonzalez, right? Case law to show that he is allowed to have character witnesses because the defendant is testifying. Bam! Okay? So that was what the judge was supposed to be ruling on it. But the judge, it was automatic because Mr. McDuffie is going to testify. So Mr. Steele had 3. Thank you, Mr. Soul Podcast. Soul, thank you, Sean. I appreciate you. All right, so listen. Mr. Steele had 4 individuals lined up to testify today. He had the expert witness, the doctor from Florida. He had him. He had, which he was there yesterday, but he didn't get a chance to testify. He had the boss of Investigator Alford, his old boss. Put that pin there. Then he had, listen, he's covering all the liars, Then he had the father of Shelby, which is going to discredit Shelby and her mama. That part got. Then last but not least, the ex-boyfriend of his daughter, Lindsay. Remember yesterday, Lindsay kept saying that defended. And then how she said that her father didn't want to pay for the surgery for her knees, and she hated her father. Well, he got a witness to discredit her. So he had witnesses to discredit. The doctor was to discredit the nurse, the father to discredit. The supervisor of the Hall County was to discredit the investigator. The daddy to discredit the mama and the daughter, and the ex-boyfriend to discredit the daughter. So he had them lined up, 4 of them, ready to go. But meanwhile, we have the investigator. The investigator gets on the stand. The prosecutor asked the investigator a couple of questions. First, he gets his background, who he is. Now, listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. The investigator started his career at Banks County Sheriff Department in October 2022. When did this case happen? This situation happen? May 2023. So that's roughly about, let me see, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's about 7 months he's been at the job. 7 months. So he's going to be the super investigator, right? 7 months. He got this big old case. He got this president of this bank. He got accusation against this president of this bank. Hey, this is going to make me a super duper investigator here, because this is going to knock it out the box, right? Bam. I'm going to do this thing, right? They get the news involved. They have him like a fugitive, y'all. They take him in and they say he has a gun in the car, and he's a child essay, and he's this, and they are all over the news, right? Because this is the bank president. Everybody knows this man. So now everybody in the community hears this rumor that Mr. McDuffie touched his grandkids. Oh my. The terrible bad wolf. He touched his grandkids. Oh, we're going to get him. Remember, he said he going to get his ASS. That's what Mr. Alford said. He's going to get his ASS. And you know what, y'all? He's going to get him by any means necessary. Even if it means if he lie, if he tells Shelby to record the daughter, the baby, and let her keep saying, give her some rewards, give her a popsicle, get her a kitten, get her all this stuff. When she tells a lie, we're going to reward her because she's telling the truth. Papa touched her tootie, and I'm telling the truth. That's what she told her daddy. She was skipping around the house. Papa touched my tootie, and I'm telling the truth. Okay? Okay, y'all. Bam. So, he's on the stand. You find out he just started the job. He gets this big case, important case, that this man touched his grandkids. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of history of Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford used to work as an investigator in Hall County, right? And he also took part in an investigation with essays, children, exploitation of children, and all this kind of stuff that he did back 7 years ago in Hall County, right? And he has a total of 15 years experience in law enforcement. And prior to that, he worked at McDonald's, right? His job consists of investigating, collecting evidence, doing interviews, speaking to suspects, victims, and witnesses. He gets about 70 to 100 cases per year and out of those cases, about 30 to 40 of those cases are SA cases, right? And he has worked a total between his whole life of investigation. He has done between 300 and 350 cases of SA. Okay. When he first got the report from Deputy, I think was his name, Deputy Bill. Let's see who did. Deputy. I wrote his name down, y'all. Please forgive me. The deputy. Well, I think Bill was the deputy name. Well, anyway, he got it from the other deputy. The deputy that Shelby talked to at the sheriff department. They forwarded over to Investigator Alford, right? And so, it was Bell. That was his name. Deputy Bell. Okay, Deputy Bell, Jasmine, Shelby, and Chris were in the interview room when they did the first forensic interview with the little girl, with Emmy, right? And when they talked to Chris was extremely upset. Chris is Mr. McDuffie's son. He was extremely upset about it. And he was asking about the individual's credentials, right? He was asking all kinds of questions because he did not want to go. He didn't want his children to go through that. He didn't want the cameras. He didn't want none of that stuff. He didn't believe what his wife was saying that his father was capable of doing, because he said he trusts his father. And there's no way that this man could do this to my babies, right? He trusted him. But because Investigator Alford lied and says that the test shows that there was SA done to the children, all of that got thrown away. He wanted to unalive his dad. He wanted to unalive his dad. He hated his dad. He had not talked to his dad since that day. Since May 20th, 2023, he has not talked to this man. He even saw his father at Home Depot, and he said his father almost jumped out of his skin when he saw him at Home Depot. He hurried up and got out of there. But Mr. Steele kind of brought it back to him that, hey, it was because of his bond stipulations that he could not be around him. So when he did see his son, he made sure he got out of Dodge because he's not supposed to be around him, right? So all these years, the past 3 and some change years, he hate his father. He wanted his father 6 feet under because he learned, according to the investigator, who lied and said that Mr. McDuffie touched his grandkids. So, during the interviews, they explained, and they said, how did Shelby take it? And they said, talked to Shelby briefly and explained to Shelby what she needed to do. She explained to Shelby that Emmy was going to disclose more stuff. So when she disclosed more information, record it. So this is the prosecutor questioning him, right? And then he said he had a brief conversation with Shelby, the nurse. No, he had a brief conversation with the nurse on the telephone. This is before he actually got the report, right? He talked to the nurse, and the nurse explained to him what had the report revealed, right? And he explained the result. He turned around and explained the result to Chris and to Shelby. To the best of, this is when he goes to the best of his ability, y'all, right? He didn't get a doctor's information. He didn't go back and have the doctor to explain to him the report. No, he took the nurse's word, which the nurse didn't have authority to provide that kind of information. All she is a collector of information, and then the doctor is supposed to be the one to explain everything to them, review it, and then say if the doctor would have reviewed it and then came out with the expert diagnosis of the whole thing, then it would have been better. But no, her notes, she was the authority on it, and she was not even certified to give authority that type of information. She was not certified. The nurse wasn't. Okay. So when Chris learned about all this, and because now Chris never looked at the report, he only got the information from what the investigator was saying, right? So the investigator continued to reach out to Shelby. Of course, she told Shelby to record the little girl and get the information from her, right? And then turn around. Remember, Chris talked to his dad. Remember, Chris went down there, talked to his dad, gave his dad the investigator's card, and told him to reach out to him. And Sam reached out to the investigator. Sam goes down to the sheriff department in the investigator room, because he doesn't have anything to hide. So he's going there to, talk to them, to find out what's going on. And so he went there voluntarily. He wasn't forced to go there. Nobody made him, he went there voluntarily because he said he doesn't have anything to hide. So they end up playing the video. In the video, you see Sam and you see investigator Alfred in the room. And Alfred starts talking to Sam, asking him different questions. And Sam is just answering the question. And Sam is very concerned that he wants whoever did it to basically be revealed who did it. And he said he doesn't have anything to worry about because he didn't do it. So he's there to help whatever way he can to get whoever did this to his babies. He said he works hard all the time so his babies will have an easier life, right? He even said that he is willing to take a polygraph test, right? And he says his purpose, the goal is to find out who did this to his babies, right? So on May 30th, 2023, at 1:37 p.m., the interview begins, right? He tells, the investigator asks how close him and Chris are. And he says Chris and him are very close. He explained his position. He's the president of a regional bank, and he was the president of Georgia, another bank in Georgia, and another. He talked about three different banks that he was the president of. Okay. Then he says the prosecutor asked him, "Did you read his Miranda rights?" So he says, "Yeah." He didn't remember if he read him his Miranda rights, but then he said that he wasn't being arrested, so he didn't read him a Miranda rights. But then when you listen to the video, you hear him reading the Miranda rights to Sam. So Sam ended up signing off on the Miranda, right? Because he doesn't, he's just want to make sure that his name is cleared from this thing, right? He just want to clear his name and also make sure that whoever did it to go find out who did it. Remember, they never even investigated the other papa, the other grandfather, because it was three male. The little girl was calling papa, right? But they only investigated Mr. McDuffie. That's it, right? He says, "I got nothing to hide," right? He says, "I wouldn't do something like that to my babies." He says, "I work all the time to make sure my babies have a good life." He says that he says, "I do." He asked him, "Do I need a lawyer?" Because he's already asked him to do the Miranda, right? He says, "Do I need a lawyer?" He asked him, "Do I need a lawyer?" He says, "I haven't done anything wrong, so I haven't." Basically, he doesn't have a problem to talk to you about what's going, being here in an interview. Then he asked him again, "Do he need a lawyer?" It's like, if he need a lawyer, let him know, because he's never done this before. He never had to sit in a room like this, and he don't know. The only thing that he knows about investigation and stuff like that is what he sees on TV. He don't know anything else in it. He says, "I'm not worried about anything. So I don't mind answering any question you have," right? So goes on and telling him, he asked him about his educational background. He told him he got a BBA, 4-year college. He told him, and he says he got it from North Georgia College, and then he also said he was in the ROTC. So then investigator Alford asked him, "Do you know your rights?" Right? He says, "Yeah." He says he don't have a problem. His body language, y'all, when he was talking to investigator Alford, he was very open. He wasn't fidgeting. He wasn't like stuttering. He was calm and talking very like, "Okay, I'm just here to help you do whatever you need to do to be able to find out if anything happened to my babies." He says this is a very serious situation. That's what McDuffie says. He says they ask him something about, "Have you heard of anything like that?" He says no, he's never heard of anything like this, never done anything like this or something like that. He says, then he asked him about a show. He says, "No, I don't watch that show." That's what McDuffie said. "I don't watch that show." He says, "I can't remember." So then he says, "Well, tell me what happened that day." So McDuffie tells him that when they came to his house, right? And the little girl was riding on a bicycle. And she says, "Papa, chase me. Papa, chase me. You're the bandit. Chase me." Right? So he's chasing her right now. This is when they're all out there. Chris is out there. The mother is out there. His wife is out there. And the two little girls are out there, right? So Emmy is on her bike, riding her bike. And she's saying, "Papa, chase me." So he's running around there and everything, right? So they both he's hot, he's tired and everything. And then he decided he wanted to go get something to drink down by the barn, right? And so Emmy is going with him. And then the mom, Shelby, tells the grandpa to take Addie along, right? So they go down there to go get some Gatorade, because he has a whole thing of Gatorade down there by the barn. He says it's an open area. And so they get down there and they see a black snake by a black bag. The snake jumped up. So they're screaming. I guess that was the scream that they heard the little girl do, right? So what he did, he puts the girls on the trailer, so with the snake thing, so the snake don't get them, right? So he goes and get the Gatorade and saying by that time his son comes down, right? Chris comes down. And remember, Chris told his story about the little girl had to go to the bathroom and all that. He took her and shook her and in a thing, and they go back up to the thing. So that's all that happened. That's all that happened. Oh, I forgot to tell you. He says, before while they were working down there, he was doing something with that little trailer, so he had Emmy to take the hammer, and she was hammering. That's why Emmy saying that she was working. She was working, right? So, that's that part with the holes and the drill and all that, right? And Chris's story and his story matched exactly, and they were not even in the same room. When he was testifying, he was not there. So the story matched, right? And then he says, so then investigator Alfred started asking him different questions. And he says, I'm very careful. I don't check the diapers. He don't change their diaper. He doesn't bathe them. He doesn't sleep with them, right? And then he said, investigator Alfred started asking him, do you think that she's coach? And he says he doesn't know. He doesn't know whether or not she was coach, right? But then he did say that Shelby is pretty controlling, right? She's controlling about what the kids eat and things like that. She will come to that house, smell the kids' breath to see if we fed the kids something that she didn't want them to eat. So that's how controlling she was. And then he started telling them, the rest of Alfred about Shelby and Chris having some marital problem. And so Chris had came to ask the father about what should he do. He basically told him what his dad told him, that to stay with his wife, don't ever divorce, because divorce is something that they don't believe in, divorce, right? And he also told them that to find a good Christian counselor so you guys could iron out whatever problem you have. He says when he was having a problem, when he was married 2 years, when his son Chris was 2 years old, he asked his father. His father told him, do not divorce, stay with your wife. And he said that's the best thing he ever did, because him and his wife is the best thing since that he could ever, have, because he said how wonderful his wife is. And he glad that he listened to his father with the advice. So he gave his son the same advice, but he also told him to go to Christian counselors, right? So in December, they started having counseling. December of 2023. Was it 2023? Oh, well, it might have been 2022, right? So he says he told him to stay with your wife. Okay. And then he says, you figure it out, basically go get it worked out. He says most things, make sure God is in the midst of it, right? God to get you through it all. He says, I told you already, he says his wife was the best thing that ever happened to him, right? He says, son, you need to work it out. Okay. Find a good counselor and make sure you do everything you need to do to keep your family together. That was the advice he gave his son about their marital problem. Okay. And then he talked about how he didn't mind working so hard for his babies, right? And then he told him, and of course, I told you about, he said he could take a polygraph test and all that, right? And then he said he'll do whatever he needs to do to clear his name. Then investigator Alfred asked him about taking a DNA. And Sam said, yes, he would do that. He would do a DNA. But here's the thing. Investigator Alfred know his behind is lying, because remember when I told you when they went to the house, right? The only thing they did was take pictures. They never went inside. They never got any kind of tape to get the fingerprints, to get DNA. They never took the baby's underwear. They didn't do none of that stuff. But he lied and told him that he's gonna get his DNA and all this kind of stuff, right? He was not doing all that. Okay, he didn't do that. But Sam said he was willing to take the DNA test, right? And he says one of the things that he was very concerned was about, he's been in the town for over 30 years. This is devastating for him. And he says, everybody's going to hear about this, right? I'm stuck, sorry. And he says that basically that, he says, I've been here over 30 years. He says, this is not me. He says, I can only tell you that I have no idea. And because he asked him, who do you think could possibly do? He says, he had no idea. He don't know. He says, I would die before I do something like that to my babies. Okay. He asked him about the relationship with his daughter. And he told him that his daughter was had tore her LCL 4 times, and he says, I can't figure out he says, I can't figure out where this is coming from. He doesn't know where it's coming from. He doesn't understand, right? He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. He says people should not accuse someone of something that they had not done. Someone who has not done anything wrong. People should never accuse them. He told them about how the barnyard is within eyesight, right? He also told him, the investigator Alfred told him he met with Chris and Shelby, and told him about the criminal investigation building, and then he asked him about any reaction, and he still did not have a clue. He asked, is there anybody else? He says no, he doesn't know. And that was basically it with that. Then they put the video in, and you could see how he reacted and all that kind of stuff, right? He said he had applied for the warrant. Then Mr. Steele gets up there, they play the video and he ends it and everything, right? So then Mr. Steele gets up and he starts questioning Investigator Alfred. He asked Investigator Alfred, did you tell Chris that the nurse was not certified? He says he didn't know she was not. He says, you mean to tell me this is the first time you're hearing that the nurse was not certified to give you that type of information? He says, he didn't answer that question. And then he says, did you tell Chris that there was no peer review, that she had no peer review of the information she gave to you guys? He said, no. Did you tell Chris that she had no updated training? He said, no. He said, did you tell Chris that she was relying on books that were over 25 years old? He said, no. He said, did you tell Chris that there was no doctor who validated her collection of the essay stuff, right? He said, no. Did you tell Chris there was no expert to verify the report? He says, no, he didn't. Then the state rests. Mr. Steele. The judge asked, Mr. Steele, are you ready? And Mr. Steele said, yes, Your Honor. I called whatever the doctor name, Dr. Matthews. So he went out there to go get Dr. Matthews. Dr. Matthews was nowhere around. They couldn't find Dr. Matthews. So he says, okay, Judge, I'll go ahead on and call. No. He asked, no. He asked for investigate. He asked for Sergeant Long. He couldn't find Sergeant Long. I guess Sergeant Long was going to the bathroom, right? Then he asked for Mr. Thomas Tony Nichols. Mr. Nichols come in, a slim guy with gray hair. He comes in and he sits in the witness stand. He swears in. And Mr. Steele says, can you please give your name and spell it? And the guy says, you want me to spell my whole name? He says, yes. So he starts spelling his name, Thomas, and then he spelled his middle name and he spelled his last name. And Mr. Steele said, today's a special day, right? And then he says, I wouldn't say it's special. He says, today's your birthday, right? He says, yes. Yeah. He says, happy birthday. Mr. Steele tells him happy birthday. He says, thank you. Then he says, who are you to Shelby? He says he's Shelby's dad, right? He says, were you married to the young lady that was here by the name of Lynn Nichols? He says, yes. We were married since 1987. He asked him, how many children do you have? He says, we have 4 children. Then he names his kids. He says, Ike. I think he says Ike, Shelby, Ginger, and I didn't catch the last child name. So sorry about that. And then he says, when was the last time you seen Shelby? He says, I saw her in 2012. He says, when was the last time you seen Lynn Nichols? He says, in 2009. Then Mr. Steele asks him, why is that? He says, because of a restraining order. He says, a restraining order. Why was there a restraining order? He says that because we went through a divorce. Then he said, so what was the occasion that you saw Shelby in 2012? He says, my grandmother's funeral. Then he says, I have a question for you. What would you say if we ask you, is Shelby credible? And then the prosecutor, objection, Your Honor. And then Mr. Steele explained why he's asking that question. And then the judge said, I'll overrule. Answer the question, sir. So he answered the question. He says, Shelby is not credible, truthful. Then he asks, is Lynn credible? He says, no. And then Mr. Steele says, thank you. I rest, Your Honor. Then the judge asks, the prosecutor goes up. He says, Mr. Maynard. He gets up there. He says, I gotta go back because Mr. Steele asks Mr. Nichols whether or not he's ever been convicted of a crime. He says no, he has never been convicted of a crime. So I guess they want to make sure that he's not a criminal. So, you can't go and say, it's a criminal on the stand and you believe it, blah, blah, blah. That would dilute his testimony. But he says, no, he wasn't a criminal. But the reason why is because they lied on him in the divorce thing, right? So the prosecutor asked him, um, was he going through a divorce? He says, yeah, they went through a divorce. So he only asked him 2 questions and the guy got off the stand. That was it, right? So now you got Shelby and her mama being discredited, right? So then he goes back and they go back outside and call for investigator Long. Dale Long. So investigator Long comes on the stand and he sits down and he gives his name, spell his name, and he goes and stuff. Because y'all, let me tell you something. I got to the point, y'all, this stuff got so good I stopped writing. So now I gotta go with my memory now because I don't have notes. I'm gotta go with my memory of what I remember because I was all in tune. I stopped writing because even the ladies in the back was like, Sylvia, you stopped writing. I said, yes, this is so good. I gotta see, I gotta watch this happen. I gotta see what's going on. So now, y'all, I'm gonna go off memory of everything that happened. So if I'm wrong with something, somebody please come in and tell me, hey, Sylvia, it didn't happen that way. But let me tell you, I was so in tune because when I heard that, I think I wrote one part of this. When I heard that Alfred got canned, well, he almost got canned, but when they went back to his employment personnel record, they went in to put some stuff in his personnel record. Let me tell you what happened, y'all. Mr. Steele had Miss Sergeant, he's ex-sergeant now, ex-sergeant, well, ex-captain Dale Long on the stand. He asked Captain Long, where did he work at? He said Hall County Sheriff Department. What was his position? He told him he was the captain, and he asked him, did he know anybody by the name of Investigator Michael Alford? He said yes, he knows who he is. He said that he wasn't his direct supervisor, he was over his supervisor. The supervisor he was the buffer. He was the boss, and the supervisor was right here, and Michael was down here. So he said that basically there was a memo prepared by him to the big boss, the sheriff, right? And the memo had to do with Alfred not being honest. What happened, right? They were doing an online intel criminal investigation, right? There are 2 investigators that work in the department for online stuff with children, right? And what they do, there's a particular phone that they use, and they use a particular person's photo to act like that person is a teenager, right? And so Alfred went and used that picture of the person without permission and told them that he was trying to get a murder suspect, and he was communicating with that person to try to get the murder suspect. So first of all, they got on him because he didn't follow proper protocol, because he was supposed to be using that picture. He was supposed to not, he's supposed to be honest with it. So he lied and said that he was using the picture to lure in this murder suspect. So then he leaves the company. He got reprimanded, right? He got reprimanded and he got counseled. It goes into your record, right? So he got counseled, and then after he got counseled, he decided to leave. He quit because there would have been some more stuff they found out that he was doing. So he quit. So upon investigating this, they found out that he lied he wasn't communicating of trying to get this murder suspect. He was doing it for something else, and they basically wanted to document his personnel file to say that he is not rehireable. So even if he tried to come back to Hall County, they will never hire him because he is not trustworthy. He lied on the form, right? So that's what happened. So now his credibility now is being focused on. That is why Captain Long came in there to saying that this guy here is not trustworthy. He will lie on his paperwork, right? Right? He will lie on his paperwork. So listen. Mr. Steele rests. He says, "Thank you, Captain. That's all." So prosecutor gets up there and he wants to question Captain Long. This is the question he says. He says to him, "Captain Long, you says that he was not truthful about what he was doing with the device." And Captain Long said, yes, he was not truthful. He says, but he, according to this, he wasn't working in the child crime department. And he says, not really. He wasn't truthful of using a photo of someone who's supposed that we use as a 14-year-old. He had told us basically that he was using it to get this murder suspect. He says, but he didn't lie then. That's what the prosecutor. But so he didn't lie then. He was trying to get the murder suspect. He says no. He says, well, do you have any evidence of that? Do you have any proof of that? Or are we supposed to just take your word for it? Guess what Captain Long did? Captain Long said, I got it right here in my back pocket. And he takes the paper out. Oops. He takes the paper out. And then he gives it to the prosecutor. Prosecutor takes the paper out. He says, I see there's no date on here. Now, this is an email, a memorandum email, right? He says, I see there's no date on here. He started dissecting the whole email, right? So then he says, we're going to put this as evidence number, I think 47, states number 47. And so he's reading it. He's going through it. He's trying to find something wrong with that, right? So he's still trying to convince that the man didn't lie. And he says, yes, he did lie. He says it's in the memo. He's like, well, can you show it to me? So he bring it to them, and the guy starts reading the part that it says that he lied, right? And so he made it worse for him because he made the jurors was now focusing on this man lying, right? He made it so worse. He was trying to make it better. He made it worse, right? And it turned out because it was going back and forth. And that lieutenant was not, that captain was not having it. He was just like, boom, 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 this is it. Blah, 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 blah. So he ended up getting off the stand. The next one is the ex-boyfriend of Lindsay, right? Ex-boyfriend gets up there and he talks about, he says, can you give me a character, what is it? Can you tell me the character of Lindsay when you were dating her? And then the prosecutor said, I object, Your Honor. And then the judge says, Steele says, Your Honor, I'm judge. He is able to tell you his personal experience of the character of Lindsay and the time that he was blah, 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 right? And then the judge said, I'll overrule. He overruled. So they asked him, So how do you know Lindsay? He says he dated her when she was 15 years old, and that Lindsay was not an honest person at the end or towards the end of our relationship. And he says he don't know who she is now. He don't know whether or not it's the same thing, but he knows back then she would lie. She was a liar. So he got off this. He got off. Steele said, "Thank you. That's it, Your Honor." And then Mr. Maynard did a cross examination. So he says, "You mean to tell me that from 17 years ago, you're saying that she was dishonest?" He says, "Yes." He says, "Yes, she was dishonest." He says, "Do you know if she's dishonest now?" He says, "No, I don't know anything about her right now." Right. And that was it. And then he let him go. "That's it, Your Honor." And so the judge looked and he was like, they got ready to call the doctor. And then Mr. Maynard said, "Your Honor, it's lunchtime." He said, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll go to lunch and we'll be back at 1:45. So we all go off to lunch, right? Now this is the good part, y'all. We all go off to lunch. I'm glad you guys are in here. 126 of you guys in here now. We go to lunch. We come back. I went to my favorite place. Shout out to Jack's Shack. Excellent food, y'all. Y'all need to go there. If you ever go to Banks County, it's excellent food. I ate there 4 times. I had the taco today. Delicious. Mwah. Shout out to Jack's. I told him I was going to give him a shout out. Nice young man and his wife. And but anyway. So we get back, right? Isn't it, Valerie? Oh, yes, it is delicious. Delicioso. Okay. Valerie, buddy. Okay, let me tell you what happened. We get back, y'all. We get back. My sister from another mother. We all sitting in there and we see a whole bunch of police, whole bunch of chefs. We're like, what the heck is going on here? We see 3 sitting down, we see 2 standing, and we see another one sitting there. We see one, and then I hear them say the jurors go out that way. And I'm like, what in the world's going on? What is happening? What is going on? We're just like whispering, what's happening with it? Nobody knows what's happening. We're whispering. Everybody, we looking at us like, hey, what is going on here? This is not normal. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? So we're looking, and then I don't see the doctor. I don't see the doctor on the seat outside anymore. I just see a whole bunch of police, right? I see a whole bunch of police out there. And so we go and sit down. Colette comes in, she sits down. Mr. McDuffie comes in. He has a sweater for this gentleman who is cold. He gives it to the gentleman for him to put on. And Mr. Duffy sits down. We all talking about how cold it is in that room. That room is freezing. We're all complaining, right? And then the judge says, I hear that there are some people saying that we need to turn the air conditioning up a notch, meaning to, make it a little warmer in here, turn it up so it don't, instead of 65, make it 70, something like that. He didn't say that, but I'm just saying, right? Turn it up a little. So Mr. Steele comes in. He gets his jacket. He puts on his jacket. He starts fixing up his collar. He says, Your Honor, I want to put in a motion. He fixes his jacket up. He fixes his clothes up. He says, I want to put in a motion. I want a direct verdict motion. Then he explains that the judge is the 13th juror and that the evidence was produced, the state has rested, and so far, therefore, there has not been anything proven in regarding to the case, blah, 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 blah. And so the judge says, thank you, Mr. Steele. Then he says, goes over to the prosecutor. And the prosecutor says, basically his little spiel. I don't even remember. I wasn't paying attention. I'm being honest. I don't know what he said. All I know, he says, okay, thank you, Mr. Maynard. Then the judge said, I'm not being unfair. My mind just went boom because I see the police officers. I see all of this. I see the movement. I see no jurors coming in. And I'm like, what in the world is about to happen? When I heard Bill Steele said direct verdict, I wrote in the notes to my sister from another mother. I said to her, direct verdict means Mr. Steele's asking for a dismissal, acquittal. That's what I said to her, right? She's like, she looked at me. I said, acquittal. So then I passed it to the lady in the back. I said, this is what Mr. Steele's asking for, acquittal. Right? So then the judge says, I've been thinking about this. And based on blah, 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 he says, I'm going to grant your request. Court's adjourned. I was like, yes! I'm like, because I already know what this means. Everybody's like, don't know what the hell is going on. They try to figure out what it means. Okay, what is going on? I said, he's been acquitted. All charges have been dropped. That's what I said to them. And then the lady behind me, she started crying. And then Mr. McDuffie, he starts crying. He hugs Mr. Steele. He hugs him tight. Then he hugs his other attorney. He just hugging and the people in the back was like, because the judge didn't even say don't say nothing. And I'm like, y'all, he's acquitted. It's over with. It's done. It's finished. Then that's when all the police, he's not guilty. He was not guilty. He's not guilty. Because the 13th judge, he's not guilty, Marcus. Why you gotta come in here trying to mess up? He's not guilty. There was no evidence that showed the man was guilty at all. Not guilty. So go sit down somewhere, Marcus. Go sit down somewhere. Based on the evidence, there was no evidence. There was no evidence to show that this child, there was people coercing the child. And for a child to come skipping in and say, Papa touched my tootie and I'm not guilty and I'm not lying. I'm not lying. There was no evidence. None. No evidence whatsoever. He said remember, the judge was a 13th juror. So a 13th juror could make a direct verdict, and that a verdict of innocent. Acquittal. So don't come up in here, Marcus. Don't do me like that. Don't do me. I was in the courtroom. I heard the evidence. I heard the testimony. Don't do me. Whatever. Dude, don't come in here with your mess. The man did not do that to his grandkids. You don't know nothing about that man. Mind your business. Marcus, don't get blocked, because I will block you coming here with that nonsense. Talking about you don't even believe. That man did not do that. Not that man. Maybe you might find somebody else might do it, but not that man. Absolutely no evidence. Exactly. She blamed the dad before. It's a pattern. It's a pattern that the mom have. What's the police there for? The police was there to keep the peace. They always come out when there's going to be a verdict that may not be happy with either side. You got a nurse. I'm glad be blocked for caring about the children. You don't care about no children. You just in here trying to talk crap. You don't know nothing about that man. You don't know nothing about his life, but you want to come in here and talk about it because you care about the children. You ain't care about no children. Why don't you go out and advocate for the children instead of coming in here harassing me? Go advocate for the children. Go out there and advocate. Go start some program for the children to help them out. I bet you're not doing that, but you're up in here in my chat harassing me. What have you done for the children to expose stuff like that, Marcus? What have you done for the children, Marcus? Give me your resume. Give me your CV, Marcus. Give me your CV. Let me see what you have been doing for the children. I see you just coming in here running your mouth, harassing me. That's what I see. They definitely need healing, Queen. Definitely. The family and his dad, his son, he was devastated because okay, if the prosecutors, if they would have did the job, if I would have seen DNA and all this kind of stuff that would help the case, why did she wait 5 days later? Why didn't she go and contact the police the same day? Why didn't she go take her child to the emergency room the same day? Why do you wait 5 days later to do this? Why do you have to record and give your child a popsicle for telling that you lead her? Why? Why? You're not answering the question, Marcus. Answer the question. Why did she wait to tell her husband? Why didn't she tell him the same night when they could have got the children checked out the same night? There are children out there that are being abused, definitely. But doing it this way is not a way to get the real answer. She did not say she was in shock. No, she did not say she was in shock. She did not say she was in shock. So you said, did it not say marital problem? So wait a minute. You're saying that her excuse for not going to get her child checked out the same night is because they were having marital problem? Okay, then why tell him 2 days later? Why not tell him the same day? Because it's the same reaction he's gonna get. She was afraid, but she wasn't too afraid to go tell the next day. Your rationality does not make sense, Marcus. It does not make sense. You're not making sense at all. You're not making sense. Make some sense, then I'll talk to you, because right now you're not making sense. Thank you, SS, for the super chat. Telling your husband, his father, M, his children is going to flip their life upside. It's already, golly, this dude, man. This dude is not making sense. You're not making sense. Acquittal is a not guilty verdict, sir, ma'am. The other way is still a not guilty verdict. Acquittal is still a not guilty verdict because remember, he's the 13th juror. The 13th juror. Why do you have jurors on there that's a mother and a daughter and they friends and they're talking to the person? How about that? That's not a fair juror. Parakeet, that's not a fair jury. Why do you have to have to a family member on the same jury, and they talking to the person in the parking lot? Answer that. Y'all, please answer those questions. Please answer the question. Read your super chat. Okay, hold on. She says, ultimately, there was not enough evidence. So if you are innocent until proven guilty and you're not proven guilty, then why can't she not say a person is innocent? Amen on that. Amen on that. Thanks, Miss Green Eyes. Miss Green Eyes, I appreciate you. I'm about to take my butt on off this live. Okay, tomorrow is our next case. All right, I'm about to get off this live, y'all. I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for C Sheets. Kimmy says, thanks, Sylvia. Awesome. Thank you, Kimmy. C Sheets. Well, not C Sheets. Success. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you, Pod Soul. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate you guys. So now we're on tomorrow. Thursday. I have the other individual's case to do. I have the Juice Man, the rapper Juice Man case. So we have that. And then next week, we have the brothers with the father situation. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and put your notification on. Okay, she says, the pardon parole called me and would love to tell you what she stated. So please give me a call back as soon as you can, Sylvia. All right. Congratulations. Congratulations, Kim, for your 4 months of membership. Was he out? Yeah, he was out on bail. Yeah, he was out on bail. Here's the thing about when you at the courthouse, when you're there, you see things totally different. You hear things differently. Being behind this computer here does not give you the real insight of what happened. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm saying here. I'm not gonna get in here and argue with you guys about anything. Next time, just come to court. Come to court and see what's happening at court. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Just come to court. Just come to court. Okay, guys. You guys have a great day. And thank you, everybody, again for your super chat. And thank you for everyone coming in. Can't wait to the next case. Still did his thing. Great work, Miss Sylvia. You're welcome. You know what? Also, I want to say something. Here's what I want to say. All those individuals who's been SA in your life and you have not gotten the help that you need, that every time you think that somebody is going to SA you, you probably need to get some therapy. Seriously, because you got to get that, because not everybody's out here or predators are trying to do certain things. Of course, there are predators because you've experienced that in your life, but not every time somebody cries something about something like this is actually true. Okay, let me just tell you that not every time. So just weigh all the evidence based on what is given. I mean, you have to be there to hear the evidence. You have to be there to hear. There was no evidence. The nurse did not provide correct information. She even said there was no assault found. She said it. She said it. And then when they questioned the little girl, she said they asked her who did Papa touch your tootie. She said no. And we saw it in the interview. She said no. So I don't understand why some of you guys in here saying, oh, there was evidence. There was evidence. No, there was not any evidence. None. Other than somebody coaching a child to say certain things. And the mama did it. You putting that stuff in the child head from an age of infancy. That's not a time for teaching children about stuff like that. There's a certain age you tell the kids about stuff like that. You put in first and don't think about the elephant. Don't think about the elephant. Don't think about the elephant. You're going to think about the elephant. Do you know how many people, how many husbands and wives go through divorces and use kids as weapons and saying that certain things is done that until you go through that, you will never understand. Now, if it's the truth, definitely needs to be exposed. But if you're sitting there just lying and using your kids as a weapon, it's not cool. Or because you have a relationship with that you don't like your ex, your husband's family, you just want to make up stuff like that. That's not cool. Not cool whatsoever. Not cool. Not cool. And misery likes company. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, when the father got off the stand, the sons, Nichols' sons, two sons, went out to the hallway. And the younger one said he had not seen his father in 20 years. He had not seen his father in 20 years. 20 years. Do you know how much damage that is to kids? 20 years, and he wanted to see his father. The police went out there because he thought they were gonna beat him up or something. They went out there, and he told them no, he wasn't out. They weren't out there for that. He just had not seen his father in 20 years. Imagine sitting on the first time you seen your father in 20 something years, and he's standing on the stand saying your mama's a liar. Your sister's a liar. And when you were little boy, you have not seen your father. You have not seen your father, and then all of a sudden you see him and you want the connection. And he don't even know who you are. He like, I don't know them. He don't know who you are. Because a scorned individual decided to keep you from your child and your child from you. We got to get it better. We got to do better than that, people. So we will let the cycle go on, and it goes on to your grandkids. Yeah, some trial need bench trial. Yeah, definitely. It happens all the time. Yep, tall glass. Sorry, my throat's itching. But it's got to be some healing in it, because I just hope there is some healing between them. I wish there's some healing. Some healing. But anyway, y'all, I'm about to get off this live. Thank you guys again. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Infamous Sylvia channel, where laughter and fun make up our panel. Together we build this digital spree. We appreciate you and our growing family. With mods by our side and chat flowing free in this online space. It's just you and me. We laugh until tears roll down like the rain. In this virtual world, you ease all my pains. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We cherish the moments, the highs and lows, from the latest gossip to stories untold. You're more than a viewer, you're part of the crew in this space of ours. It's all because of you. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign and joys we'll both gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign and joys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and